Spoiler alert, folks, this is essentially a brand new format of video and I 100% need your feedback. So if you like what you're going to see, I need you to leave a like on the video and comment on how I can improve it. Now, remember those commentaries I did where I didn't have my camera, it wasn't live, and you just had the play-by-play? I'm doing that now, but with the whole modern league. It's not going to be one game. You're going to get a whole league condensed into like a 15 to 20 minute video. Let me know what you think. The card that we're going to be showcasing this time, and I think it's you're really going to see why the One Ring is absolutely insane in Mill. Now, I get it. It's good in every deck that plays it, but I'm here to show you that even Mill can take advantage of it. You're going to see these wins that I get that are, I'm so far behind, but the One Ring gets top decked. I blank them for a turn. I draw 4 cards. I do it again the next turn because I chain into another One Ring. If you can get a hand, if you can get your hands on this card, you need to play it right now. Enjoy the league. So I'm not really on the play here, which is unfortunate, but my opponent starts with a Rag event. Thankfully, I have the Fatal Push for it, so things are looking pretty good. The One Ring is in hand, but they do play a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Now I'm gonna play the Crab after the land because I don't want to feed into a Murktide. Unfortunately, I'm just not drawing the lands I need. They're gonna fetch into type number 2, which is close. I mean, they're getting to that 3/3 status, but I'm able to block here. If they're going to bolt it, it's fine. At least I get the block through. But at 3 mana, they're also going to play the Mainboard Blood Moon. That's what's frustrating here, and this is largely what's going to cause the loss here, and I'm just going to concede. Now, it's hard dealing with Mainboard Blood Moon. I mull once at least here, but I have the Spell Pierce up, but unfortunately I can't deal with the turn 1 Rag event. But beggars can't be choosers, which it's exactly what they play here. I'm going to burn it just to find a piece of removal, but the game is kind of written in stone here. I can't even drown that thing. It's going to start attacking me, stealing my spells. I mean, off the top, it's going to steal a Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which actually wouldn't be bad in this matchup, but with the Ledger Shredder up, at least I'm then able to, well, realize I'm even in more trouble. Now, the Mistress Bauble is going to go into the yard, which does help, and they do feed something else in there. So the drown does have value here, making me feel bad for bringing that in tapped. But on my turn, I'm going to be able to then drown and then hold up the Spell Pierce. Again, I don't want to feed their yard. The Ledger Shredder is enough of a problem. I don't need to feed a Murktide. Now, Extirpate is also an option in the future, but I'm really looking to extirpate something big, and their threats are growing as things continue. I play my Crab, I play my Otawara. Now that I have Drown and Spell Pierce up, I can deal with the Murktide. So that's kind of good fables there. I'm going to go to kill the Ledger Shredder because ultimately I'm deciding, you know what, at the end of the day, just let him have it because I need to kill what's on board. They're going to cast this for 2 mana, and ultimately I realized that my decision to kill that threat was my biggest downfall. I'll take the L on this one. I really need to do some brushing up on my Murktide matchup at the end of the day when I don't have Ensnaring Bridge, but I'll still play it out. I'll cast my Fractured Sanity. I'll hold up my Spell Pierce. I still have a game here, but with the Expressive Iteration coming out, they have infinite selection. Let's just go to the next game. So after that abysmal game 1, the tidings are much better. I start off with the Crab here into the blind. I have the fetch line following up into Visions Fractured. They grief me off the start. I really hate this play pattern, but it's probably not scam because they would have played a land first, right? So luckily enough, we're playing against Living End, which is fantastic. Game 1 might be a little bit tough considering I don't have any Surgicals, Extirpates in the main board, but I'm still going to mill them a little bit here. I do have to activate some things, but I'm going to mill in response to that because now that they're playing less lands, I do want to just commit as much as possible to reduce the amount of things they can draw into, right? There is a possibility that not only can I mill over all 4 Living Ends, but I can mill over their lands. Regardless, they find the second one, I play my land in untapped, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my Jace. They're going to force it. I mean, that's really the only hope I had. Play Jace and then kind of minus, draw some cards. They search their library, so I archive trap them. Maybe I mill over all their Living Ends. Unfortunately, I don't get that lucky. And at this point, what I really needed was a land into the One Ring. But regardless, they do the Cascade thing. They cast Living End and they bring everything back. My top deck potentiality is actually really low. I don't know why I'm playing this out, but again, at the end of the day, what I really needed there was land into One Ring off the top here. I don't have it. Let's go to game 2. Regardless of how quick game 1 was, I mull once here, but I'm actually hyper prepared for this matchup. A lot of graveyard hate. So I'm going to bring in the Ruin Crab. Just having Spell Pierce and the eventual Crypt Incursion, absolutely insane. We just got to play around the force. So I get griefed again. The Crypt Incursion's gone, so I don't get to do the crazy stuff, but Drown and Spell Pierce at the same time is fantastic. And the Flooded Strand, Oh, what a draw. So we're going to hold back a little bit. I'm going to do things in response to their searches and whatever I might have. So keep up the mana. We're going to pass through and see what happens on our turn. We're going to leave that unfetched. We're going to play our Field of Ruin, and we're going to play to them casting things, them doing things. At this point, I let that through because really what I'm trying to stop is the searching. But I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, they do get to grief me here, which is unfortunate, but I'm going to Field of Ruin them. I'm just going to cast things. I'm going to see what happens here at the end of the day. It's not looking that good. They're probably going to be able to Cascade. I'm going to Archive Trap. They Mystical Dispute. I cast a Spell Pierce on that. They actually tap out, which is really strange, which means they don't have it. And this is actually kind of insane. This is a big window of opportunity that I have, and I really hope my deck can draw into something. Fortunately enough, I do draw into the Extirpate. However, not a good target left in there. So in this case, I go for the Shardless Agent, realizing that they don't have red on the battlefield, and I've milled over a fair amount of red sources. So this is actually the game plan. You can't Cascade into your Living End if you can't cast your Cascade spells. So I keep my other Extirpate up. I have the information that I need, and I take the Steam Vents, and at this point, they don't have any more red sources. They officially cannot cast or their Cascade spell or just get into their Living End at all. So at this point, it's just about finding a win condition. There are 20 cards in library or in graveyard. I'm going to cast my Visions of Beyond. I'm drawing fantastically here. They're just spinning their wheels. They're going to start hard casting things. They're going to tutor for things. Not this game though. Let's go to game 3. Going into game 3, I kind of have to maul, but this 6 is really sweet. Again, having the Extirpate is great as long as I don't get griefed. Now, again, I am hyper prepared. I am on the draw, but if I can just get the Living End into their yard, I'm fine here. So they're going to fetch. I'm thinking Mystical Dispute, maybe? No, they're just going to cycle away. That's perfectly fine. We're then going to go to their next turn. They're going to get a land drop in, which is unfortunate. They don't have to tutor for it. But I'm going to play my Snow-Covered Swamp, and guess what? Absolutely nothing. I don't find the Living End that I need to stop. They're going to cast Waker of the Waves, and at this point, I really just have to hope that they don't have it. I mean, I have Drown in the Loch mana up, and they did just Oliphant away to find that land, so that's, again, another window of opportunity. They're not drawing that well, so I can cycle away my Fractured Sanity. I find the Living End in there, and at this point, I cast my Hedron Crab, get my mill triggers out there. I honestly should have just cast my Extirpate in response to this at this point, but I realized this after the fact, and I'll just do this on their draw anyway. Just get as much information as possible. We let them go to their main, and then in response to their Cascade spell, I want them to commit the mana. I will then cast the Living End. The advantage you get to this is actually you now get perfect information. You'll notice that they'll reveal their whole deck here, and I'll kind of like show this at this point. This is how I decide to play it. I can cast my Vision, I can spin my wheels, but the Cascade will now reveal their whole deck. So now as I mill them out, I can now specifically start Xing out certain spells that are in the revealed zone compared to what I'm milling them. And I have perfect information as to what they're going to draw, what I have to worry about, how many counter spells they have. It's a great situation. And generally that's how you want to play it, right? You want to let them cast that Cascade spell. At this point, Field of Ruin, 3 crabs out, folks. It's the same old song and dance. My opponent is not getting anywhere. They even have less lands, and they're going to realize that they're going to concede. That's a classic game, a Living End. Coming off that sweet victory in game 3, we have a very solid kind of 7-land hand here. You curve out into Jace, you cycle Fractured Sanity, you start with playing the Hedron Crab. I'm feeling good. Regardless, my opponent plays an Arid Mesa into a Sacred Foundry. I'm thinking burn, but they end up casting Esper Sentinel, which is sweet. I'm going to cast Archive Trap. I see the Magus of the Moon, which, you know, I'm scared of that. And I see the Ragavan, which I'm lucky they didn't have. But if they're that scared of a turn 1 crab to Solitude it, feeling pretty good. They probably have a rather desperate hand. So I'm going to fetch, thin out my deck a little bit, cycle the Fractured Sanity. I find a Visions, which is great with them with 19 cards. So I'm going to cast the Visions, get a land out just so they're scared of another crab, and then keep the Visions up. This allows me to potentially find a removal spell. I don't really want to remove the Esper Sentinel, honestly. It's going to do a lot for me in terms of forcing them to draw cards, which is great. I will block it here. I don't see any flash shenanigans, or I don't think they'll have one. So I'll cast the Visions. I'll let them draw. I'm not paying for that. And we're feeling pretty good. We draw the Archive Trap. At this point, come on. You're here to play the age-old card, the One Ring. Play our 4 islands, slam the One Ring. You can draw your card. I do not care. But we're Magus proof, and they flash in a Force of Virtue, which is a modern staple now? Who knows? Regardless, I don't care how big your Esper Sentinel is. I got protection for a turn. I'm going to be drawing a bunch of cards, and you can play your Adeline, your EDH staples. I'm going to put a counter on the One Ring. I'm going to draw a card. I find a Ruin Crab, which is fantastic. They're creating tokens. I don't think they know what's going on with the One Ring. I'm going to draw 3 cards this turn, play my Ruin Crab, play my tapped Darkslick Shores, and next turn, I mean, not only do I have the visions on my turn, I can't cast Drown, which is unfortunate, but I have Archive Trap. So they play Flowering of the Wild. They're then going to be able to, or Flowering of the White Tree, I should say. They're then going to be able to attack in, and I'm just going to have to selectively block here. I lose one of the crabs, but regardless, I'm going to be able to do a lot. End step, I visions, you can draw a card. That's fine. They've drawn like 3 cards off this at this point. And now they have 14 cards left. I play a land, and then I'm just going to be going off here. It's fine. What's absolutely hilarious about this is I forced them to draw off the Archive Trap, and it's pretty much just Xaxes. I could cast another spell if I had it, but there you go. I'm going into match 2 here, looking at the 2-0. I have Crypt Incursion coming in. Not a spell I cast too much these days. This hand's pretty good. It's got the removal, drown, engineered, the One Ring. It curves so well, and the One Ring is such a great top end. Again, Esper Sentinel, I'm not necessarily concerned about. It's not going to get that big, and even if it does, I don't care. Draw all your cards. I'm going to be able to force you with the trigger. Now, the Lumeric Aspirant, I do a suboptimal thing here. I technically should let the Aspirant resolve, and then in response to the trigger, I should kill the Esper Sentinel, because ultimately if it goes onto itself, it's fine. But then I could potentially blank a trigger, save myself a damage. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. I have the Drown and the Loch available. So let's see what they cast here. At this point, I'm thinking back and forth. Should I counter this? Should I kill the Luminarch Aspirant? Ultimately, what I decide here is kill the Aspirant, because that's what's gonna, putting a counter on that, that's what's gonna trigger the Baird. They fetch, play a Ragavan. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna play, a Jace here, and then I'm gonna uptick it minus the Ragavan. I don't need that thing dealing damage to me, stealing my spells. Let the Baird attack. They stomp. Look at how many resources they're using just to kill a Planeswalker. I play the One Ring, and I start doing the mid-range thing. Oh, this card is so good. Imagine if I didn't have this. Imagine if it was another card. I have the protection. I'm gonna be drawing 3 cards on my turn. I have the engineered explosives, which is kind of awkward. They have 0, 1, 2, 3. So not that great of a board vibe. I've never been too high on it, and I've drawn like 3-4 lands off this One Ring, so this was not a great rip, but at least I was able to go through my deck. Imagine if I didn't have this and I wasn't able to just go through. Now, I am able to Otawara away the kind of big attacker here. I am at 9. They steal my Soul Guide Lantern, which is fine. I brought that in expecting a shuffle effect. Surprised they don't have one, or they potentially just drew it out. I play both of my crabs here. I then am able to fetch out and chain into another One Ring to blank another combat. I'm officially gonna win. Let's be honest here. Chaining One Rings, 2 crabs on the battlefield. Look at how much mana I have. It's gonna be crazy. Like, imagine having a Visions of Beyond confirmed every single turn. That's the one. Well, that's what the One Ring gives you. I'm just saying, folks. I know it's an expensive card, but that's what it gives you. They're gonna cycle away my Graveyard Hate spell, draw into another Adeline, but hey, they can attack all they want. They get their, they get their little token. I get to draw my card. They do no damage. I do no blocks. I'm laughing all the way to the bank at this point. The One Ring is going to untap and do so much for me. I am at 5 life. It's getting a little cheeky here, but at this point, Fractured Sanity, we play a land. We got so much mana. We then play the Jace. We minus the Jace. Come on. The deck is coming together. You have to be playing the One Ring, folks. Going into game 4, little did I realize that it's only upside from here. The hand is pretty decent. You play the Hedron Crab. I am on the kind of play here, which is great. I don't play it because I don't have a turn 2 play. I don't want it to die. It's kind of unfortunate here because if I played it, I would have been able to dodge this 1 damage from the burn player, but I get the Archive Trap off, which is fine. I burn the Vision just to keep going through. I get the Watery Grave out. I fetch. I kill the Swift Spear. They Searing Blaze, which is unfortunate, but they have to cast it at some point. Tasha is going to take me the mile, though. That 20 Exile, woo! Let's go. And then at this point, you blaze through them. Fractured Sanity. I don't even need the One Ring to stunt on them. We're going to go to game 2. That's a fantastic game 1 against Burn. For many of my viewers, you already know that winning game 1 against Burn with Mill is huge, and we start off with 2 crabs and a Spell Pierce. Come on, we're going to be able to block the Goblin Guide pretty efficiently here. They get the double trigger here. We're not drawing any lands. We block 1. It's fine, and I'm going to get my triggers off because I'm then going to be able to kill one of them. Again, this is suboptimal because technically I would want them to, you know, get their triggers out first before I start doing anything. I opt to keep the crab. I do my fetches. I keep up my Drown in the Loch. Now I'm going to let it trigger first, then kill the goblin guy. They're stuck on one land though, if you haven't noticed, and I'm gonna have the spell pierce up. This is a joke at this point. Look at this, the spell pierces, the drowns. Even if you draw lands, I'm in the driver's seat now, Mr. Burn player, Mrs. Burn player, or whoever it might be. I spell pierce your lightning bolt, and you know what? I draw another crab. Thoughtseize bug with no Thoughtseize? Come on. I'm just drawing exactly what I need. I spell pierce the next lightning bolt. My opponent's got to be so mad at this point because guess what? I'm not the one that kept a one-man hand. You are. You got good cards in your hand? That's fine. I got answers to those good cards because I got mana. They seem to have just brought in their whole sideboard, by the way. I didn't even bring that up. They're literally just playing suboptimal cards. And hey, if you're going to bring in your whole sideboard and not prepare for the fact that you're not going to draw lands, that's not my problem. I'm not a bad deck builder. I'm not a bad mulliganer. That's fine. If you don't realize the burn matchup is just super favored for Mill, that's on you. That's on you. Just got to bring in the cards that are good. And what's great about the burn matchup these days is burn is just ultimately not bringing in any Eidolons either. They're shaving on Eidolons, if not playing them at all. That was the worst card, might I remind you, in the burn matchup. Now with that gone and Tasha's available, burn's actually, dare I say it, favorable? Come on now. This game is absolutely over. My opponent does some absolute nonsense by just like pausing out, but GG's. Let's go to game 5 and see if we can't pull out that 4-1. Going into game 5 with the 3-2, I'm chilling, I'm relaxing, I'm maxing, I'm cooling. I play the land out. I don't have a turn 2 play, so no point in, you know, keeping the Ruin Crab out for removal. They go Blooming Marsh into Springleaf Drum. I'm so confused as to what's going on here. These aren't color combinations that play these cards together. Regardless, I play the Ruin Crab. If they're playing Springleaf Drum, the Fatal Push will have a target. I'm thinking the Rock. I mean, they're playing Orcish Bowmasters. I lose my Fractured Sanity, which is kind of strange because I feel like the Fatal Push will probably have more value considering I turn 2 to snow-covered swamp. Regardless, I play the island. I have threats up. I'm going to play my Fatal Push, and there's no counterspell coming my way, folks. That one ring is going to be huge if I'm going to be playing against an Urza Saga, which at the end of next turn, it's going to be searching. So this Archive Trap is live. Now, I'm going to play my Flooded Strand. I'm going to fetch. I'm going to play my land. Not only am I milling my opponent, I'm going to play my favorite card in this deck right now, the One Ring. Now, my opponent decides to play Orcish Bowmasters, which is incorrect in terms of how they played it. They should have cast it in response to me casting a One Ring. So I do get a draw without losing the life off of one trigger. But regardless, Bowmasters is a very problematic card. It's very prevalent in the meta right now. If we're going to be playing the One Ring and Visions of Beyond, it's gonna be something to contend with. Now, they're gonna decide to, in this case, create some mana, do some stuff, do some things with their mana that doesn't even matter, folks. I'm gonna be honest. I have Archive trapped them. I have One Ringed. I've protected myself. I have a Ruin Crab. What is my opponent gonna do here that even matters? Let's be honest here. I should have drawn first, but it's fine. At this point, come on. You play the island, you chain the other One Ring together. It's getting ridiculous. These are the lines that truly show you how good this card is in the slower matchups. Now, the Orcish Bowmasters is gone, which is fantastic. I'm not losing any life there. Their combat is completely blanked. I'm going to draw more cards. I'm going to play my Ruin Crab. I'm going to play my other Ruin Crab. They're going to kill that. I'm going to choose not to search so that I can find a basic with my field. I only have one more basic, so key thing there. I Field of Ruin them. This forces them to search their library. I get my island. And come on, folks, I'm laughing all the way to the bank. The Archive Trap is free. They're at 2 cards left in library. I Fatal Push the Construct and going to game 2. I always get really excited when I'm this close to a 4-1. I'm a little jittery at this point. This hand's solid. You play the Ruin Crab out front. Ignoble Hierarch is fine. And drawing the double crab is fantastic. We're going to play the Ruin Crab first, or sorry, the Hedron Crab. See, it gets removed. That's exactly what we want to see. Now, it's not looking that good. I decide not to play anything here because I don't want to feed into the Tarmogoyf, and after it attacks, I'm going to cycle Fractured Sanity. I need a land, essentially. I need removal spell. I need a black source. I need something to deal with this Tarmogoyf. Now, they're going to Thoughtseize me. They take the Jace, which is fine, I guess. It's a weird choice, but we're going to cycle away. We're going to put some cards in their yard. It's now a 7-8, which isn't great, but I draw the removal spell that I need, and I decide how I want to play this. It's ultimately going to be taking out the Tarmogoyf, let's be honest here. The Urza Saga is going to be doing a lot, which is unfortunate. One of them is going to, well, go to the graveyard and search. They find the Nihil Spell Bomb, which actually gets kind of annoying, honestly, when you think about it. You'll see later in the game, but it becomes very problematic. They take my Tashas, which is very lethal. I then Field of Ruin them, take out the other Saga, play my Ruin Crab. The Crypt Incursion is blanked by that Nihil Spell Bomb. So it's kind of just time walking me at this point. Very frustrating. No blocks. I'm gonna go to 7. I need to find a game plan. That Collective Brutality, come on, are we back in 2017 or something? Regardless, whenever that card was printed, I play my Ruin Crab. I'm milling them a little bit. Fractured Sanity is going to come out next turn. How do I pull out this win? It's seeming kind of impossible. Now I'm going to go down to 1 here, right? Like, well, I'm going to cycle first and then decide, but I'm going to have to block 1 or go to 1. What do I do here? I mean, ultimately I block 1 here because the Otawara actually makes things kind of spicy. I can permanently remove 1, but hey, when you draw the 1 ring, come on, comeback of the century, folks. You thought I was gonna lose this? You thought I was gonna lose this with the 1 ring out? No, folks, you're gonna see why this card is absolutely busted in this stack. Look, I'm at 4 life. I'm at 4. Spoiler alert, folks. I'm winning this game. I'm winning this game, folks. Now I tap for a mana. They besage you. They can't do that to the 1 ring, right? Now I draw 3 cards this turn. Tasha's, Crab, Archive Trap. I'm gonna be just milling them at this point. Now I'm gonna hold things up because I want to create that Otawara block scenario that I was talking about. Some crabs have to go here though. So what we're gonna do, we got a double block. Ruin Crab blocks the construct, then blocks Tarmogoyf is a Hedron Crab. I Otawara the unblocked construct, making the blocked construct a 2/2, saving that. My Hedron Crab is gone. Good combat math on my turn. I'm at 1. And I draw the Field of Ruin for the win, baby. Come on, the 1 ring is absolutely busted. Come on. In the comment section down below, I want someone to give me a reason as to why this card is not so good in the slower matchups. This whole league, fantastic. We find our Archive Traps, we find our way to win, and only through the 1 ring did we find that win. GG's, folks. If you can get your hands on this card, you need to be playing it in mill, or at least try